back with 843 TV, and I am delighted to introduce you to a couple of the, not teachers, but they're navigators here at the Polaris Tech. I have Mr. Armstrong and I have Ms. Rhode. And the interesting thing about this, when we're talking a little bit off camera, is the difference between being a navigator and a teacher. And Ms. Rhode, I'd love to have that conversation with you because you are here for the first year. And you've been in education for 13 years previous to this, so being a teacher and now being a navigator. Can you help us understand that?
Yes, coming from public school and having that 13 years of experience, a teacher is given curriculum, given a pacing guide, where here at Polaris, we are just instructed in what we call the PBL or project-based learning method. So we're asked to use this method of teaching, which allows us as educators to have creative freedom. So we have that freedom that we first came into teaching with, that love of learning, and we can use that to elaborate and differentiate our instruction to meet the needs of our learners. We're upheld to the same state standards, but we have such an ability to do what we wish in our classroom because we see those needs that our students have. We see how each learner is different.
Can you give me an example?
For example, in reading, I have 23 students in my English language arts class, and so they are all mostly at different levels. I have anywhere from perhaps third grade readers all the way to ELL learners to students that are already reading on a 12th grade level. And in a standard school, public school setting, there is a place that you're supposed to be at this month. There's a specific standard you're supposed to be teaching, and there's a specific curriculum that you should be following to teach. Well, that means those higher level students and those lower level students are not getting their needs met specifically in the classroom setting. When I use problem-based learning, I have my students exploring at their own pace, and I'm free to move and reach all students of all learning capabilities in the private classroom setting.
You know, that's really interesting because, you know, sometimes you could be a slow reader or quick learner. How do you get those 23 kids? I mean, making sure that the guy that's comfortable reading to come forward and want to learn. I mean, that's the art of being a navigator, right?
That is, and that's the beauty of the project-based learning. You find a question, you find a problem, an issue that the students are all interested in. And that's not very difficult to do, believe it or not. You have the students that are all around the same age, so they have the same concerns. You find something that's interesting for them, and then you challenge, how can we solve this issue? How can we go about and make these things new or make these things different or make them interesting for others? And then you set them out and have them have resources. You give them the resources, you show them where to find more resources.
Correct.
And they just begin exploring on their own.
You're going to become their own problem solvers.
They do.
That's really wonderful. So, Mr. Armstrong.
Yes, ma'am.
You have been here for 3 years, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what curriculum do you teach?
So I teach aerospace engineering, flight and space, and professional development and leadership.
So, aerospace engineering at a high school level in school. I am impressed that we even have a curriculum like that. So could you share a little bit about that curriculum?
Yes, ma'am. So the aerospace curriculum is actually created here at Ridgeland because of the two major companies that we have here. So we have Boeing and then we have Gulfstream here. We want to prepare the students for the workforce and provide them with an opportunity to work at those companies at a higher level.
I think that's amazing. Those are two curriculums I didn't expect to hear today. So, and then the other thing you're helping the kids with, the students?
With professional development and leadership is one of the main things that is required when you go out into the job force. So we want to make sure that they have a fighting chance and are extremely competitive when it comes down to applying for these different jobs.
And so you're working with the high school kids and getting them to speak and feel comfortable being in public, things like that?
That's correct. So right now we're working on Maslow's hierarchy of needs and finding ways to build culture at Polaris Tech. This is something that they will be able to do when they leave and find themselves working at a company. Companies have a desire for critical thinkers and collaborators, and would like to see their employees communicate properly. So giving them real world scenarios will allow them the opportunity to sharpen their tools.
Very well said. Oh my word, I'm excited. What a great program. I'm really delightful to meet both of you, and I want to thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And we will be right back with more 843 TV.